So this is CBMF, and I'm Hank, and I'm joined with two guests to talk about Legion Episode 8 today. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I guess.
Well, go ahead.
I'm Talia.
And I'm Andrew. I'm always on here.
Yeah, like we can't get rid of you.
Throw up that picture of me that Hank likes to use.
Excellent. Now that that's up.
Now we're going to have 40 minutes of silence just with that photo.
So now the season is over.
I'm pretty sad about it.
It was a pretty good season, though.
It was a pretty good season.
Yeah, it was. For me watching it this week.
You watched it all
of
like
it.
48
Yeah,
hours
binged it.
almost.
Yeah, I do that with everything, though. I don't know. I'm kind of not looking forward to next season because I want to do this with you guys, but like, I don't want to wait a week. That's garbage. I want to watch it all at once.
If we hadn't been doing this...
Fucking 30 minutes at a time. So that's how I split it up sometimes.
Sort of all at once. You want to have it at your leisure.
Yeah, basically. I just want to choose. Okay.
I think I would do the exact same thing if we weren't doing this show.
Yeah.
I would wait for it to just be done because it was an 8-hour movie.
I don't want to, like, I hate waiting between weeks for the answer.
When I get to wait like a year.
Well, yeah, I'm used to it because of Game of Thrones, but...
Fair.
Game of Thrones. Anyway.
They resolved stuff and they didn't resolve stuff.
The way that it ended up essentially being Jermaine Clement and Aubrey Plaza as the Shadow King, I fucking love that.
Because you said that thing that you thought he was going to die in this episode, especially when he was up on the ladder that chamber, like, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, just being like, don't die, don't die.
Yeah, I thought that was it for him.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, instead, nobody died.
Yeah,
like, they
good.
didn't lose any cast members.
Good. What the fuck was that place he was in with, like, the pods? I thought it was going to reveal that it was, like, people or something, that she was keeping mutants.
I just thought it was their sci-fi generator.
I mean, if that was it, that's fine, but I was reading into it too much.
You were waiting to see Electro there, like...
Ugh. I would... No.
No, nobody wanted to see Electro. Something they did that I really liked was a complaint that I've always had about X-Men 2, the movie X-Men 2, when you see Pyro... I don't know.
Not X-Men as
It's called
well.
X2. You could have said X2 as well.
X-Men
that's
United.
how they did it.
Cool. I've forgotten all that. But Pyro shoots fireballs at cops.
Yep.
And it just knocks them down. And it just sort of is like, whoa, and then they get back up and they're freaked out. But, like, I liked that this shows even a little bit of a fire mutant attack leaves you handicapped and, like, visually impaired and, like, fucked up for the rest of your life. Like, it was such a nice... I like when they do that. Oh, that anonymous soldier, this is his life.
They didn't have to do that, but I really appreciated it. I was worried it would take up most of the episode, but it was done in a very, like, smooth and concise fashion.
Yes. I can't just nod, I guess.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
What I thought we were going to get was that type of scene for who the Shadow King was before he was the Shadow King. I was really expecting that we were going to get, like... But I thought we were going to get half the episode was going to be his backstory and the other half would be them killing him off. And instead it is like, oh, yeah, like I feel like the Shadow King now...
he's out there.
He's just the villain of this show, possibly. Like,
Maybe.
I think next season is them hunting the Shadow King.
Did you guys see the after credits thing?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you mean, yeah?
Well, of course, but...
I had a weird feeling about it. Like, it is the one thing in the entire show that I
have no clue.
This is going to sound terrible, but it's like, that was the one thing that was unbelievable to me in the entire show. Like, I can accept everything else happening, and then it's like, oh, you turned him into an electrical signal, and now he's inside a tiny ball script. Like, that's weird.
It felt outside of the mythos we've established.
Yeah.
Although, I don't want to be the guy who keeps bringing up this character, but it reminds me of something that Mojo would do.
Oh my god, you should not keep bringing up Mojo.
If Mojo's the villain for season 2, I'll be excited.
That would be such a weird, like, hey, if they liked one yellow lumpy guy, wait for season 2.
When you get another
even
one.
fatter!
Even lumpier, and probably spider legs.
I watched a thing on how they do the makeup for the yellow Demon Yellow. I guess the Shadow King.
That version of him, though.
Oh, sorry, I just sidetracked myself. What's his name? Jermaine Clements.
Yep.
Knows who the Shadow King is. Like, they potentially, like, when they're talking about it in the previous episode, he does a thing where he's like, oh, it's what's his name?
We
you know who that is.
Yeah.
And it sort of implies a, like, I'll be interested to find out if those characters have a previous relationship.
Oh, they must to some capacity, yeah.
For sure. If they all, I assume, know each other. If they're, like, talking about him by name. And,
yeah,
like,
just the way they
like, oh, of course it's him, of course.
But they never established why or how. That's interesting. I hadn't considered that. I just sort of ate it up.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Full of mutant superpowers and stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly add that means Jermaine's staying for
hopefully
the second season.
That's what I think. Like,
I would I'm saying that because it's, like, to me obvious that he's going to be there. Like,
I think that might even be the send-off
it.
for them now. Because those are big enough names that I could feel like they just, like, give them a cool, like, they're out there somewhere, and that might be it.
And we'll bring them back in season 3 or 4.
Maybe, yeah.
The reason I don't think that...
I don't want that, but...
Well, it's just the way... Like, I feel like before they do the last... Like, essentially one of the last shots is David saying, they're out there somewhere, and we gotta find them and deal with them. And I don't think they knew this before it happened. Imagine he's in a tiny ball when he does that. I mean, I know that her saying and him saying we're going to go someplace warmer is a play off that he's been in the ice cube, but there's also a weird texture of and then the production moved to LA.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't even piece the ice cube together, but I do like that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just wanted to say that I would have likely have caught on to the warmer thing with California, but I never would have gotten the ice cube thing.
No, and it seems so clear now.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, just because they did the whole thing with, like, the British accent, being like, ooh, look, real life, hee hee, like, so
yeah, the little nods.
The hot thing would be like, real life, hee hee, we're going somewhere hot, like in real life.
Just like in IRL.
It was so...
In IRL.
It was so super sad.
Rip in peace.
That he remembered her, like the last thing.
Yeah,
like that was a genuinely like, oh, I think I went, oh, when that happened,
and it echoed through the vast expanse of your room. No, yeah, I think they handled most of those elements really smoothly. It was cool that I don't remember the fella's name, the dude that got burned all over.
Clark.
I'm so mad that I don't know that.
That is really funny.
I'm so mad right now at myself. I gotta go flagellate myself. Anyways, I thought they handled him really well. Yeah, did you watch New Adventures of Old Christine? Moving on. Flashback to 8 weeks ago. Yeah, they handled him super well. He was not overtly like an antagonist. He was listening to reason. He didn't freak the fuck out or anything.
I liked him at the beginning, and then
he was good.
He wasn't as bad as he could have been.
Totally.
And he could have been really bad, but there were things that he said and did that were just like, all right, you're not the most evil ever,
but there's a sinister quality to him when it needs to be there.
Yeah, he's not like a great guy.
No. And I mean,
he's a nice family man.
That's the thing. We see sides to him.
Oh my god, I loved that part. It was great.
With the family?
Yeah, I loved it so much.
Their little son?
Yeah, I thought it was so adorable, and I really liked that everybody is just totally cool with them being gay, I guess. Like, 'cause they work together as well, and I don't know what year it's supposed to be at all.
I think it's intentionally so.
But they did say a John Lennon line in there. Which it happened, and it was just like I was waiting for anyone to make any of the people around me, which was nobody, or anyone in the show to just be like, oh, I've heard that song, or anything about it, and they just didn't say anything.
What was that?
He said, war is over if you want it, which is, I think it's called War is Over. Bracket, if you want it.
Yeah.
And it was such a weird part, because It's a song lyric. It's weird to, like, be all, like, just try to be badass and say, like, just spew out, like, John Lennon peace stuff.
I feel like David generally, when he's all, like, high on himself like that, he thinks he's cooler than he is.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Yeah, good talk there.
It's just... Someone also is writing it. It's not like David is thinking
but I like to believe that that's in character as well. Like, despite someone
I thought
writing
it was just so odd to reference.
But even, like...
I don't know, it was weird.
I think we talked about, was episode 5, is the one when he's, like, all, like, crazy asshole for the first half of the episode. Even that felt, like, kind of petulant. And I feel like it lines up in the character, despite it obviously being written.
I just thought it was weird.
I remember it having a bit of a weird rhythm when it came out.
Yeah,
like there's certain lines where it's like, I don't know if that sounds like something thing, or like it sounded... But I mean, there is a bit of a... Like, I can still sort of buy into it of the, like, yeah, that was David awkwardly trying to sound cool and not accomplishing it.
Like, I get that he was quoting lyrics and be like, you know, I'm cool or whatever. But I just wanted someone around him to just have been like, I get it.
Like one of the soldiers in the pile.
Like anyone at all to be like, I love that song. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
And just nobody. It just got nothing.
It would be great if it was one of the other, like, 40 people who live there. Who occasionally show up in the background of shots, like they
mentioned that there were 50 people there. It was like, what? There's 50 people, and then you see them all after, and it's like, what?
Hello.
What the fuck?
And you're all mutants here. So are you guys all having crazy adventures as well, or just playing baseball?
I'll say that's probably something the show could have done better, is making that place feel more lived in.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the episode previous. You can tell, like, they simply didn't have a budget for extras. And, like, because there's a thing where they go back to the place and you don't see anybody in the background of, like...
Man, they could have got me for free.
Yeah, throw me in.
Well, Union says you can't just... No, I had the same.
Could have paid me in food, I don't care.
Means you're a mutant then. That's cool.
What I've always wanted. To be a mutant.
But, yeah, they didn't even go out of their way... They didn't do that thing where you just see somebody, like, doing mutant powers in the background. There's none of that.
For sure.
And, like, all the mutant powers you learn...
Yeah, it is a TV show. That kind of makes sense.
I didn't fully get the first time around the... It still kind of confused me that when Sid kissed David, she took the Shadow King, not David.
She might have done both.
I don't think she did. Because then David is still David after that, and that was what kind of confused me. Like, the Shadow King, I think, full-on jumps into her.
He's in Carrie.
Yeah. And then David is still David, because remember, David and her run together, and it's not like he's still inside her.
I think how it goes, and I'm going to do a diagram for all our audio listeners. So, like, here's David / Shadow King, right? Mm-hmm. And then David / Shadow King goes in to Sid. And then
I think that he just chooses to go wherever he wants. Like, he can just go into her if he wants.
And then when they go to Carrie, Shadow King and Sid goes, and David goes back to David. This is a bad diagram.
It doesn't work. Like, no, it doesn't. That doesn't.
I'm gonna. Well, I mean,
that was wrong, and I don't accept it.
I mean, this show also has a weird T-sphere that uploads David, so I feel like we might be putting too much into this.
I think that it was just Shadow King's coming out. There's a way to come out, and he. Oh yeah, I guess it's a he. I was gonna say it, but and then he's just like, I'm gonna go into you, lady, and he can just choose to go wherever he wants. While he has access to Sid's power.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And also
he can just choose to use it however he wants because he's fancy.
I thought that he was gonna I thought we were gonna see a virus spread thing, that when he went into one Carrie, the other Carrie would suddenly have it.
That would have been so cool.
She'd merge with him, and then it was gonna be of like, oh no, he's gonna infect everyone now. But I thought, again, right up until the last second, I thought for sure they were gonna kill the Shadow King. Like, I didn't think that entity was going to make it out of this season, but...
I feel like we're conditioned to that with live-action superhero stuff, is they always fucking kill the villain these days.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that they would. What's going to happen in the second season?
They'll do another villain.
Yeah.
I guess. Guess so.
I still think that's what's going to happen.
Just villain after villain after villain for them. They don't get a break.
Do you read superhero comics?
Those poor people.
But the sphere was just part of like the thing that Clark's a part of.
You think?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, because they say something, they say like, send in something, something, something. They use some code, and then they never show a follow-up to that, but then the ball shows up. So I think the ball is something that government institution sends. So I think they're going to keep that dynamic. I'm pretty sure
I remember them
that's
saying
what it
that,
was.
but I didn't think of it that way.
It's one of those, yeah, it's the fucking gun in the first act again, of
Chekhov's
like,
gun.
why would they leave that scene in if it was not that?
Yeah, it has
is
to
what
be used.
because I kept expecting after he said that thing, I spent like 5 or 6 minutes of the episode
Waiting
for missiles to show up or
Yeah.
something, and then it doesn't. So
maybe I almost want it to be. I sort of want it to
you want it to be
increasingly get.
Mojo.
I'm impartial on Mojo. I want it to get more comic booky. Like I like stuff like that.
This episode was pretty fucking comic.
Oh, yeah.
Like two psychics running at each other.
And the fields around them, that was so cool. And
Yeah.
when Clark puts on like the full red suit and like what does he have, like a wolf on his cane or something? That felt right off the page.
And he just threw his other cane down.
Fuck this cane.
Yeah.
I thought almost for a second that he might be like a character and they might reveal it that like we would recognize just because it felt iconic. But it didn't seem that way.
It's that weird thing where they're doing a better job of iconic comic book stuff than most X-Men movies.
X-Men for sure.
I thought that the Shadow King would go into Clark for sure.
Mm.
When he was getting all fancy and
right,
and then he was there, and he was the only other person outside of their little group
so
that
it
was
felt
there.
natural.
So it was just like, and then he was left alone. Carrie was just like, "Don't go anywhere," or whatever, and she ran off. And it was like, oh, he's gonna go over there and get involved somehow, and then just.
I think Shadow King would have like ran by him and taken one look and just be like, "I'm good." Keep
well,
walking.
like I just assumed the Shadow King would hide in somebody and not be so obviously like, "Oh, look, I'm here now!" Like, "Ooh, my eyes are yellow. You can tell it's me." I thought it would be more like, well, where'd he go? Like, oh, who knows? And then, like, and Clark would just leave, kind of, and go off back to his thing, and then...
And he sort of did that when he got into Jermaine.
Yeah. I just thought it would be...
more immediate.
What's that character's name?
I didn't think it would be...
Oliver, yeah.
Because I liked him. I wanted him to stay there. I don't want him to
fall in love with Melanie again.
Yeah.
And
just be there to talk and say stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
Just be there, I guess.
I wonder if they'll do, they can do now, like, buddy cop stuff with him and Aubrey Plaza just being charming and funny together.
I love that.
Oh, just a spin-off. Just a Shadow King spin-off. Just the Shadow King driving around, having crazy adventures.
You got me.
That's at least an internet short that would be beautiful for them to make.
Yeah.
You listening, guys? Make that.
Hey, Ike Perlmutter.
I don't think that's
I brought
how
that on
purpose.
Goes. On that note.
Can I ask who Lenny is in the first place?
I really wonder that.
I think it was just some dude he was friends with.
No, but like Aubrey Plaza Lenny.
Oh,
in
not
the hospital. Benny. Sid killed Lenny.
I think that was just a person that Shadow King took the form of. Because we don't see Lenny in his head until after Aubrey Plaza's IRL version dies.
And I
guess that's true.
I don't want to give them too much sway on this, but I feel like
but doesn't he remember her as...
That could... I mean, just with the way memory works, that could...
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing, is like, that he infects the memory in current time and it changes it for all the memories back. And I think it's the first episode where they do that thing where David misremembers something and they make it sort of a plot point that he thinks he sees Clark and then he remembers it's someone else. And
it's Melanie instead.
Yeah. And again, I think it's also part of the, that's the schizophrenia that he legitimately, and it leaves us. But there is a weird, was Lenny a real person before? Like, did he meet the person who looks like Lenny? Well, he said he was in the mental clinic for 6 years. So that's also a really long time to have potentially known her.
Yeah.
And again, We also don't know how much of it is like a weird Fight Club thing of like, yeah, he saw that person one time in the mental ward, and then for 6 years the Shadow King was talking to him as her, while she was fucking the real person was never around and never spoke to him.
I mean, they've sort of left legroom for themselves there.
And whether or not Lenny actually is, like, they showed his other form a few times as well.
Like the yellow form?
Not the yellow form, but there's a couple of points in the memories where he's a, like, middle-aged little fat
when he's
dude.
Benny.
Yeah,
Benny.
Benny.
When he's actually
Yeah,
Benny.
I think Benny was just a dude that he knew before, probably.
I don't know why he'd be friends with someone like that. They don't seem like they would be friends. If you look at them together, like, they don't... I don't know.
Benny was the Shadow King before
I know, just
Lenny
looking at you
was.
guys, it's like, wait, I don't know.
I am the little rough-looking middle-aged guy.
You're Danny DeVito-esque.
We are the movie Twins.
That's yeah. Coming soon to online near you.
I have one more thing. But
Okay.
You can say your
No,
thing.
I can't remember my thing.
So I did just watch all of it.
Yeah.
So I still have
You got fresh.
first stuff. Like, there was a guy in the bushes.
Never explained.
Bush guy.
What? Like, I was waiting the whole time.
Not at all.
And then...
Never.
Like...
I love Bush guy.
I don't understand.
I've seen other people saying this same thing
Like-
online. Like, what's the deal with Bush guy? I think was the headline of somebody's article about Legion.
Well, good. I'm glad.
So, yeah, don't feel alone in that.
Yeah, I just hoped for something.
Weird for the sake of weird.
He's the villain of season 2.
Shrubs.
I just think it's weird to put it in and then not say anything. Like, I expect...
No,
I
like
expected and still expect something next year, I guess.
You expect to see the return of Shrubs.
Well, I expect...
Let's get into it.
Good old Come
on, Shrubs.
I love Shrubs.
They go to David's other ex-girlfriend and they're like, tell us about Benny. And she's like, Ben? His name was Shrubby.
There's a picture of David in the shrub.
I have a theory, I have a guesstimation I want to make about season 2.
Ugh,
Okay.
don't call it
Thanks
that.
for that. Yeah.
Well,
My vision cut out for a second. And it was, oof.
I think it's going to be revealed that Oliver had another wife before Melanie who is Chinese.
Or some sort of...
Oh, 'cause he
Asian
did.
descent.
And
Yeah.
that's why that memory thing is going on there, and I feel
don't
like
think he's
that's
just
going to
being
be
silly?
I think it's a good silly thing, but I also feel like now that we have Lenny and Oliver doing a road trip thing,
Ooh,
and he's going to be
introduce-
kind of picking up his life from what he remembers, so I
Yeah.
can imagine like that's going to be a twist at some point. Is you're going to meet this girl, who is this strange Chinese woman? It's his ex-wife, and then Melanie will be learning that like maybe she didn't know that he was married.
Ooh, like
before.
I didn't ever know him, my husband. That's the line delivery.
It's funny that you did it like he does beatnik poetry, like she was doing an impression of him for it.
I'm very confused about all the characters.
You know, if I previously had one request for television, it was more beatnik poetry, and Legion like heard that and was like, here's a little beatnik poetry for you.
Yeah,
Give
that
you
was
some
just for
psychic
you.
jazz too.
There's a lot of psychic jazz in this, both in like literal psychic jazz and in just sort of a hep cat. There's some real psychic jazz going on here. This is going to sound a little more judgmental than I wanted to, but after watching Legion, I'm sort of looking forward to watching Doctor Strange and being of like, okay, everybody said this was like a trippy, crazy thing. And it was like, Legion was like, they did a good job of being a trippy, weird fucking thing. And it wasn't just like kooky visuals, it was a whole bunch of like, it was the sound quality and the storytelling, and it all meshed together.
I was gonna say, if Legion had the budget Doctor Strange had, imagine what that show would have been like.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it gets a good budget for season 2.
I hope so. I don't think they were hurting. I feel like they did what they wanted to.
Yeah, well, they got into some really good mutant special effects stuff at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the standouts is still seeing David go through the facility or whatever, just on the cameras and just destroying all the people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good.
I love dudes partially submerged in
I
other
love
things.
stuff like that, yeah.
I feel like I've seen Frank Quitely do some illustrations of that I really love when it shows up, and it's, that again, it's just one of those of like, oh, that's a thing I've seen in comics that you guys are putting up on the screen. It's like I am looking at a comic.
Mm-hmm. There's a good amount of that.
Legion. It's like looking at a comic. Well, that was going to be my wrap-up line for that.
It's like looking at a comic. Thanks for listening, you guys. Look forward to having you back next year. We're going to talk about Legion Season... Legion Season 2. Come here.
Or stay where you are and just listen to it when we put it up. Or maybe we'll talk about something else. Who knows? Who knows what crazy things we'll do?
That's cool, cats.
I have no idea. Day to day, no idea.